a summer day we have. And we certainly want to welcome all of you who have joined us this Sunday morning to Acorn Alley. Welcome, kids. Welcome, Mary Jo. Would you like to introduce some of our guests?
Yes, we have new guests today, so I will introduce them. For today and for next week, we have the children from St. Mark's Lutheran Church. And our first guest is Laurie and her sister Jenny, then Allison and John, Luke, and then Kay Wilson. Remember, we are going to introduce to you during June all the women and the men that write for Acorn Alley. Kay is one of our writers, and she's also from St. Mark's. And then we have Robin and Joni. Welcome, kids. They've already put a lot of work into the show. And I have one leaf that we got in the mail today. That's all we got this week.
And you know, as I look at the tree, I think some of our leaves fell off like they do in the autumn.
It's not even fallen, they're falling.
No, I think we've lost a few leaves.
This is from Dee Dee in Lima, Ohio. And Dee Dee says that she's going to go on a picnic. I bet more than one this summer. So next week we'll put Dee Dee's leaf up. Right now we'll just leave it here on the fence.
Sounds like a good idea. Dee Dee's an interesting name. I wonder what that name means. But there's a lot of other names that are interesting also. And I believe we have two of our guests this morning have done some checking into names. Now, you know, one place you can find some interesting names is to go to a cemetery at the dark of midnight when the ghosts are out and the goblins, and it's Halloween. But I don't think they went at midnight with the ghosts and goblins or at Halloween. But girls, did you go to a cemetery? Uh-huh.
What'd you come up with, Johnny? The idea of talking about names for the next few minutes is that during the summer, if you're bored and you have nothing to do you ever think of why you're called who you are? Or like we're going to see now, some crazy names in a cemetery? Okay, why don't you show the names to the camera over here, Joni, and tell them why you think they're funny or where you found them?
Well, I found Faye and Merle, and I think they're funny because they're unusual. I've never really heard of them. Then Eugene and Marta. Here's some more names that I never heard of. Mildred and Kirk. There are very few names like these.
What was that bottom one?
Kirk.
Kirk? Okay.
Bess and Franklin. Not many people are named this. Elaine and Ben. That's all.
Joni, were those on tombstones? Is that where you found them? Do you remember the dates of any of their deaths or anything?
Or births?
Or births?
No.
Some of these names, you know, we being older, the names are familiar to us. But to you kids, there aren't children named those anymore. You know, like Faye, you don't know too many children your age by the name of Faye. In fact, I don't know any. And I just wondered if these were real old names. Some of them I haven't heard of. Was that
some of them are interesting.
Merle there? But Faye, I do know of Faye, but she's more my age.
Gee, I have a cousin who, well, they called him Merle, but his name was Merlin. He's a pretty good organist, too.
Do you know any people that have odd names? Any of you children? Either a friend or one of your parents' friends that have real odd names?
We have a man who's from Germany, and his name's Horst.
Horst?
Horst.
Uh-huh.
That being a foreign name probably isn't odd. I really don't know what that means in German. Horst.
But I'll bet it's fairly common in Germany.
And we have another African friend. No, he's from India, and his name is Narabeth.
What was that again?
Narabeth.
Narabeth.
Yeah, Narabeth Emmanuel.
That's sort of a pretty name.
How about American friends with funny names? Do you know any, Luke, that has a funny name?
Not that many.
Not that many?
I have a next-door neighbor whose name is Odie.
Odie.
Odie. And we were just talking, I was telling him about the show that we're going to do, and he gave us a whole bunch of funny names that he had in his relatives, but they're from down south.
I had a high school band director whose name was Orrin. O-R-I-N, yeah. He was a great band director and a great guy. You know, I know there's a a minister in town that sort of has a collection. And if I would have really been on the ball, I would have asked him for some of the names that he has. A collection of interesting names that he gets out of newspapers. And he'll cut them out and put them in a little black book. And he often then makes up some jokes about these names.
You know what your kids could do this summer, you here and you at home? Take the phone book and go through the phone book and see what funny names you can find. And see, have like a competition between a couple of friends and see who can get the longest list of funny names. That's a time-consuming thing.
But you know, I have a suggestion about that.
What?
That some people who have those names may not think they're so funny.
Well, they don't have to know it.
Well, we ought to be careful just who we say has a funny name, I think.
Perhaps my neighbor will be down my neck now.
Oh, I hope not.
Okay, what were you going to do, Robin, with the names of all of the kids today? Can you tell us what you did with that?
Well, I asked their parents and them if they knew what their name was named, why they were named it.
Oh, okay. What did you find out?
Well, I found out that Lori and Jenny were called Jenny and Lori. Well, they were called that is because their mom and dad wanted them all to end an I. And Allison, they looked up the funny names and really. And they thought that Allison would be pretty particular. And then John was called John because his dad was named John. And Luke was named Luke is because his dad and his grandfather was named Luke. My mom called me Luke.
She did? I'll bet she didn't.
Why did she call you Robin?
She got me because she thought it was a pretty name. And Joni was called Joni because her dad was named John, and they put John and they put an I on it because her name's spelled Jon. And
her dad's name is Jon.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Kay, do you know why you were named Kay?
Yes, because I have a grandmother whose name was Catherine.
Is that what your name is Catherine?
And my mother had a very long name, and she didn't like her long name, so she gave me a short name. So my real name is Kay.
Mm-hmm. Mary Jo, do you know why you were called Mary Jo?
I was afraid you might ask. At the time, my mother was a very religious person, and she still is. And she named him after my earthly mother and my heavenly mother. So I was named after Jesus' mother, whose name is Mary, and my mother's name is Josephine. So I'm Mary Jo.
That's why you're Mary Jo.
Right. And it's just Mary Jo. It's not Josephine. Just plain Jo.
Luke?
Well, why are you called Kay?
Good, Luke.
Can't escape, can I? Well, my full name is Calvin. My father's a minister, and I guess one of his favorite religious persons or theologians was a guy by the name of John Calvin. And I was told that that's exactly why I got the name Calvin, after John Calvin. So there.
All right, while we're having fun with names, let's sing a song. And I've made up a little verse about almost all of your names in a set. And let's see if we can't sing it. It's called Hey Lottie. Do it without guitar or piano or anything. Hey Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. Hey Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. I know a girl whose name is Lori. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. For all her smiles, she's never sorry. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. Hey Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. Hey Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. I know a girl whose name is Jenny. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. She just found a shiny penny. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. I know a girl whose name is Allison. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. When she's around, we're sure to have fun. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. Hey Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. Lottie, Lottie, Lottie. Hey Lottie, Lottie, oh. I I know a boy whose name is John.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
Don't be bored and shut off that yawn.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o. Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di. Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
I know a boy whose name is Luke.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
Allison thinks that he's a kook.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o. Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di. Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
I know a girl whose name is Robin.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
When she swims, she's always a bobbin.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
I know a girl whose name is Joni.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
She's not skinny, just a little bony.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di. Hey, la-di-la-di-o. Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
I know a boy whose name is Cal.
Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
He's my friend and a
La-di-o. Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di. Hey, la-di-la-di-o. Hey, la-di-la-di-la-di. Hey, la-di-la-di-o.
That's it. Enough about names. We have some food sitting down here, and this also could take up some of your spare time this summer. Those of you who bought our vegetable bouquet, would you show it to us and explain what it is? Why don't you go down there by the food?
And that's a pretty neat bouquet you have there.
Thank you.
Should I start?
Sure. Tell us what's in there, Allison.
Okay, first of all, like, we started with the basket, and, like, we took some lettuce from my garden that we picked, and we, like, put that around the sides. It's right there. And then we had a head of lettuce, and we stuck that in the middle, and that's what we stuck all these radishes and carrots and pieces of potato on. And let's see, oh, yes, and then here's green pepper and some onions that we picked from our garden, and lettuce, and celery, and let's see what else. I don't know what else.
Well, then we started with these and we cut them, cut about 5 or 6 off, and then we put a head of lettuce in, and then we decorated it with these potatoes and carrots and radishes.
Do you add anything, Laura?
You guys just said everything.
Okay.
Yeah, they sure covered it
How
pretty
did you
good,
keep
didn't
it
they?
cool when you brought it down? I noticed something on it.
Oh, well, we put...
They're probably melted by now.
No, they aren't. We've
Aren't
got...
they?
No, we've got ice in it.
And also, like, we used bread
Yeah.
wrappers
See, we
to keep it up.
We couldn't get that to stay
to
up.
support it.
So we
Okay.
shoved bread wrappers down.
You know, that's a clever idea if we have an outside picnic other than just the family, like in your backyard if parents have a party or if you have a party. That'd be a cute centerpiece.
Can we eat some of it?
Sure. Go right ahead.
But you know, you don't have to have that outside, do you?
Potato.
You know, sometimes when you entertain inside, you maybe have flowers for the centerpiece of a table. What's wrong with having
You guys want
nice
some?
crisp vegetables, and then you can just,
Did you
the
pass it
guests or
around?
the family can just eat from that.
Just, should I bring the whole thing over?
Sure, and just pass it around to us. Now, you said you had some of the onions and the radishes from your garden. What else? Do any of you have gardens?
Yeah.
What do you have in it?
We got corn, watermelon, potatoes, onions, and see, I think lettuce, and a bunch of other things. And then next door, sometimes the guy next door, he gives us some, you know, what is it? I forgot what it's called, but it's, you know, it's good. He got the garden too, and he gets a lot of stuff. It's almost his whole backyard.
Wow. All right, what you know about gardening, any of you?
Yeah, I know.
What could you plant, still plant now, from seed, and it would still grow during the rest of the summer?
Tomatoes? I don't know.
Don't know about watermelon, Lou. That's pretty long growing. Needs a long growing season as it
With
is.
tomatoes? Or would they
Perhaps some later
Tomatoes, I
ones.
think, would, yeah.
Might, if you do it right away, radishes come up quick. Radishes 2 weeks from a seed to the table. Lettuce comes up all the time. What other kind of leafy vegetable? Like lettuce?
Lettuce? Or, wait, no, yeah.
Spinach. Spinach.
Onions.
Onions would still grow.
With beans?
Beans, would you have a late crop of beans, right? So see, there's still things that you could go out and plant right now. Dig a little plot and plant up some things. Or, if your radishes are already up, put in another planting. Second or third planting behind that.
And some of you, you know, don't have a big area in your lawn or your backyard. for a garden, but you can have box gardens. You know, get a container, a wood container, a metal container of some kind, and you can plant some of the smaller vegetables in there and grow them right outside your window.
A patio garden.
Sure.
But just get something and put it in your windowsill.
Sure. All right.
All right, when you have all these foods together and you're outside camping, you're going to sit down and take potatoes, leftovers, celery and carrots, and we're going to make hobo stew. So while I make hobo stew, and you can watch some of the things that I throw into it that will heat up, I'll tell you, this is Sloppy Joe's. These are green beans with mushrooms on them. Here are just some things I had at home, something that Cal had at home. We're just going to throw them all together in a little pot. Heat it up, and that's your meal in one pot. This you use more when you're out camping or even for leftovers at home. And while we make our hobo stew, Kay's going to tell us a story about stone soup, much like our hobo stew.
Okay, while Mary Jo's watching, we'll listen to this, or making that, we'll listen. Stone soup is a story about 3 soldiers, and they were very hungry, and they were on their way home from war. And they were in a strange country, so they didn't have any food. Then they saw a village nearby, and they thought, maybe we can find some food there. But the villagers saw them coming, and the villagers were afraid of the soldiers, and so they hid all of their food. The soldiers got down to the town, and every time they stopped at a house, they asked, do you have some food for a hungry soldier? Do you have a place for us to sleep? And each time the answer was, no, I'm sorry. We don't have any food ourselves. I'm sorry, our beds are all taken. We gave all the food to the last soldiers. And the villagers all stood around in the village and pretended that they were all hungry. So the soldiers stood there, and they talked to one another. And then they said, since you don't have any food, we'll make some stone soup for you. And they asked the people to bring a big pot and some water, and they started a fire in the middle of the village. Now we need 3 stones. And the people brought 3 stones. Now all soup needs salt and pepper. So the children ran off for some salt and pepper. Stone soup's good, but it's even better with some carrots. I think I have a carrot at home. And one of the ladies brought some carrots. Stone soup is good, but boy, cabbage would make it even better. But if you don't have any, we won't ask you for some. Another lady decided she had some cabbage at home. So she ran home and got some cabbage. Now, a rich man would have potatoes and meat in his soup. So they ran home and got some potatoes and meat, added that to the soup. Now, a soup fit for the king would have milk and barley in it. But since you don't have any, we won't ask you for any. The people ran home and got their milk and their barley. The soup was ready to eat, and the soldier said, everyone can taste, let's set the table. So they set up the tables in the squares, and everyone came out and brought bread and meat and drink, and a banquet was held by everyone in the village. And they sang and they danced all night long, and the soldiers were given the very best beds in town that night. And the next morning when they left, the people said, thank you, soldiers. Now we know that we'll never be hungry again because we know how to make stone soup. How's your soup, Mary Jo?
My hobo stew is coming along, and it looks icky, but I think it's going to taste just fine. No, I don't have time to. I don't have time to cook it today.
I think you may have some difference of opinion about the way that soup looks. You should have heard some of the comments that were coming when you were making that soup.
Well, see, if this all heats up, it's not much different than vegetable soup, and hamburger was in the Sloppy Joe's. Little tomatoes, ketchup was in the Sloppy Joe's, so we got the tomatoes. I put onions and carrots and green beans, and I took a couple of radishes out of the bouquet. So that's not so bad. So that's our hobo stew. Tonight my family might have a different meal that they didn't expect.
Right. I think it'll probably taste good, although some of the kids may not think so. But that's their problem. If they don't like good food, that's their problem.
See, if the soldiers can eat stone soup, we can eat hobo
stew. Right.
I mean hobo stew with no problem.
Right.
Okay, one other thing that we're going to talk about today is water during the summer. And my 2 boyfriends are going to tell us about it. Right, Luke and John? Okay, what did you come up with? What do we use water with during the summer?
Well, we could swim in it, boat in it. play in it, squirt each other, splash. See, fight with it.
Oh. Oh, that way, yes.
Put some water in it and throw it at each other. Water? Sometimes you get people real mad.
John, any other ideas?
What can you do with water in summer?
Drink it.
You
How
can
can
do
you
that in
use
the winter.
water? Drink water, just plain water, okay. What else could you use water to drink with? What can you make with water?
Kool-Aid,
Okay.
tea, coffee.
Ice cubes.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Lemonade cube.
Lemonade cubes.
I
Yeah.
think that's a hint, John. Why don't you go show them what you did with your lemonade cubes? I wrapped it up in newspaper so it wouldn't melt.
Would you like to serve, John?
Serve us all a lemonade ice cube. Show them what they look like, because I think those are cute.
Don't
Are
stuff
they
it.
still all there?
Yeah.
Okay, hold it up in front of the camera so we can see it. There, all right.
All right.
Oh, wow, they got it closer.
Now, you know, these are made with lemonade, but can be made with what else?
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid? What plain
Just
water?
sucking on an ice cube. That's more like what I do. John, you want to pass those around to all of us? And
I don't know if they came out.
I think they will. Come here, let me loosen it. Can you loosen it?
Yeah, I think
I think
Okay.
most of them are melted
Let go of my
enough now.
toothpick. No.
Yeah, and I bet you kids at home watching, if you go to your mom's or your dad's real nice and offer to clean up any mess you might make, they may let you make some ice cubes like this, or lemonade cubes, or Kool-Aid cubes. A variety of flavors.
Yeah.
It looks like... Oh,
came
there
out.
they come. There they...
Oh,
those
aren't those
look
cute?
good.
Here. No, give me the napkin.
John, did you make those, or did your mom make those?
Me?
Yay.
See?
We have a boy cook.
Kids can make them.
Are they safe to eat?
Yes.
What other things can water be used with during the summer?
I've got two napkins. Here's one.
What else can you...
Allison, what could you use water with during the summer that the boys haven't mentioned?
To wash your hair with.
Okay.
Okay.
In it.
Bathe in it.
You know, in small communities, maybe even here in Toledo, I don't know, you could ask the fire department to turn on the fire hydrant and have a splash party.
Yeah. Fire department may call you this afternoon.
No, that's why I say I don't know what's done, but I know it can be done because we've done it with my children. So,
Thank you.
and that's yours because I have to go play the piano while we sing a song.
What's it?
I'll hide it back here so it won't melt, okay? And how about the animal kingdom with water during the summer? You know, it's hot for us. How about feeding the pets extra water? Make sure that they have water. Do you have a bird bath in your backyard?
Birds like to splash around in water.
When it's a real hot day, it might be a good idea to get a kettle or a big bowl of Mom's and put it out there with water for the birds. Or a lid. Just any way. They get it up underneath their wings and wash.
And it's fun to watch them, too.
Also, it's a good idea that we all drink a lot of water during the summer. You know, you get awfully hot and lose a lot of water from your body, so.
When we always play baseball, our coach sometimes bring water and then we take cups. And then sometimes we'll open the lid and take the ice out.
Let's sing a water song, because have you ever walked in the rain? Or have you ever played in the puddles that a big torrential downpour would leave? It's fun. So let's sing the song, and those of you at home that know it, sing it along with us. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
I have lemonade drops on me.
Like the way he always does. Sleeping on the job.
springtime and summertime have lots of raindrops. And we don't need to pout and sulk around the house and say, what can I do? I don't have anything to do.
Okay, we all learned 3 new things today, so we don't have to pout. We can work up something with names. We can do something with vegetables, like making a surprise bouquet for dinner. But we could also make some lemonade cubes, as you hear the slurping. They're good, right?
Very good.
Okay, I'll tell them about our guests for next week, and then we'll sing our theme song.
Next week, we're going to have 2 special guests, as well as our regular guests here. Next week, we're going to have a lady that I've been told is a very fascinating young lady. She's from St. Mark's Lutheran Church, and her name is Mrs. Mildred Coring. And I think you're really going to find her interesting next week. And then also, because it's getting close to Independence Day celebration, it's right around that time, we're going to have the chairperson of the Toledo Bicentennial Celebration Committee, Mr. Rick Corbett. And he's going to be here and share some possibilities for kids as well as adults for celebrating bicentennial. Join us next week, okay? Let's sing our theme song.